You have to understand that this system has no conscience. And so they don't care about suffering. They don't care about death. They don't care about kids. And so when you see that shit, you have to question why you are. Para que se asustan será para mejor. Es el pueblo entero el que ya está gritando. Viva la revolución.
Iranian nuclear weapons development.
They have turned the island into a communist hellhole.
The experiment in Venezuela has failed completely.
One of the aspects of empathy that's important to talk about is empathy. Part of empathy is also having solidarity or care for people who perhaps are younger than you, are not abled, are a challenge in some way. And children is one of the biggest propaganda pieces for imperialism. So what I want to do is I'm going to play a clip. This is a video on The Guardian. This video already has millions of views within days. This is one of the videos I was circulating. It's called, quote, "We left our dad in Kiev, a young Ukrainian boy in tears after fleeing capital." So this is some of the propaganda that they're using to promote war. So I'm going to play this and we'll talk more about that.
А папу оставили в Киеве. И папа будет продавать что-то, будет помогать нашим героям, нашим войскам будет помогать, может даже будет воевать. Мы шли где-то 3 часа, и вот вы нас спасли. Я думала, что мы уже будем идти эти 2-3 дня. Я бы думала, что мы будем идти целый день. Вот оказалось, что вы нас выручили.
Very manipulative indeed. Shout out to Comrade Big Teal. This is so manipulative as fuck. Yeah, they bring out the kids crying and they know how to sell a war, right? Because part of marketing and branding, like one of the craziest things that you can do is read a marketing textbook. If you want to learn imperialism, read a marketing textbook because they tell all that shit. You have to sell a war, right? You can't just go in and bomb the crap out of Russia as they've been wanting to take all the oil. They have to sell it. And one of the ways that they sell it is by making it seem like Russia's the aggressor. They roll out these poor kids crying in tears. You know, he's talking about how my dad will be helping our heroes, our army. Well, those heroes and those army are actual Nazis, like you mentioned in the article, that wave the swastika, that do the Heil Hitler, that are killing Russians, killing non-Ukrainians. So it's insane to see that. Your reaction to that, Comrade Only, and how the treatment of kids in Ukraine versus, let's say, for example, Haitian kids or Honduran kids or African kids that are never talked about in the media.
Yeah, it just immediately made me think about the Haitian kids that are on these deportation flights. The Biden administration is sending every week hundreds of people being deported back to Haiti every week, tens of thousands since the beginning of Biden's administration. And these people are they're like, what are you going to do about it? We're not going to give you an opportunity for appeal. We're not going to give representation. We're not even going to match you up with someone that speaks English. We're just going to deport you back to a place that we know is hell because we made it into hell. So the idea that Western powers, The Guardian, actually cares about kids is not reflected by reality. And it is pure emotional manipulation because, again, they destroyed the conditions in the Ukraine with their meddling. They were the ones that put the far right and neo-Nazis into power because they were antagonistic to Russia. They were the ones that manipulated Ukraine into that structural adjustment program to destroy the economy. So if you care about kids in Ukraine, why are you making it so their parents can barely afford to buy food? If you care about kids in Ukraine, why are you putting Nazis into power? You have to understand that this system has no conscience. And so they don't care about suffering. They don't care about death. They don't care about kids. And so when you see that shit, you have to question why you are.
Yeah, and I thought about one of the images, especially of the Haitian migrants. I don't know if you guys remember this, but this was like a few months ago, I think last year. This is a U.S. Border Patrol, literally a old white police officer, Border Patrol guy with a fucking whip on horseback at the border, whipping Haitian migrants who are carrying food, no weapons, nothing. And you see them drenched after crossing the Rio Grande. And it's crazy. Like, where's the aid? Where's all the pray for Haitian migrants at the border, right? Where's all the where's the Haitian flag being lit up? You know, where's the standing ovation for the Haitian people that are at the border? And it just shows the double standard, right? And how crazy it is that they're doing that. And also, like, the role of race and racism, and how basically anybody from the global South, they're treated as differently as people from Europe. There's another clip that I wanted to share with you, Comrade Oni. This is like a montage of some of the racist coverage of what's happening in Ukraine. Some of the language that they're using, saying that, like, oh, this is Europe, this is a civilized country. So I'll play this and we'll talk a little bit more about that.
It's very emotional for me because I see European people with blue eyes and blonde hair being killed, children being killed every day with Putin's missiles.
Now with the Russians marching in, it's changed the calculus entirely. Tens of thousands of people have tried to flee the city. There will be many more. People are hiding out in bomb shelters. But this isn't a place, with all due respect, like Iraq or Afghanistan, that has seen conflict raging for decades. This is a relatively civilized, relatively European, I have to choose those words carefully too, city where you wouldn't expect that or hope that it's going to happen.
Now the unthinkable has happened to them. And this is not a developing third world nation. This is Europe.
As you're talking to us, Matthew, we're playing in the latest pictures of some of the refugees trying to get on trains or trying to get out of Ukraine. And what's compelling is just looking at them, the way they're dressed. These are prosperous, I'm looking to use the expression, these are prosperous middle-class people. These are not obviously refugees trying to get away from areas in the Middle East that are still in a big state of war. These are not people trying to get away from areas in North Africa. They look like any European family that you would live next door to.
These are not refugees from Syria. These are refugees from neighboring Ukraine. I mean, that, quite frankly, is part of it. These are Christians, they're white.
They're Christians, they're white, and she's like, these are Europeans. It's crazy how openly blatant they are about their racism and their chauvinism. And it's just interesting because never a word about what the U.S. has done in North Africa, what Europe has done in North Africa, Mali, Chad, the French colonialism. Never a word about the U.S. funding ISIS, Israel funding ISIS in the Middle East, in Somalia, and all these places in Latin America, all the coups that they created in Haiti. And they just make it seem like Ukraine is worth salvaging and saving just because they're white and European. So it's crazy to see that, crazy to hear that. Your thoughts and reaction to that, Comrade Oni?
First of all, someone pointed out in the comments, the very first guy that was like, they have blonde hair and blue eyes was like tan, brown eyed.
yeah.
Why are you saying this? But also, it's interesting because like Ukrainians, Eastern Europeans in general are not considered to be on the same level as like other Europeans. Like they are racialized by other Europeans. And so now when they want to justify antagonizing Russia using these people as cannon fodder, all of a sudden they're just like us. I just want to point that out. Like they have extremely racist views towards Eastern Europeans, and those are just old as hell, as old as Europe. The other thing is that part of it is like definitely racist, and it's intentional. Like they know what they're saying. It's not like slip of the tongue. They're weaponizing empathy, but they're also appealing to like the white supremacist racist as hell politics of the people that they're trying to reach, like the masses of people in Western countries. So it's intentional. They're trying to build more empathy by appealing to the race sentiment, the white identity politics.